morning, Baldwinsville. This is Cindy Clark from PAC-B TV, and I'm here this morning with an Ask the Expert segment with Peter McMahon of Hearing Consultants of Central New York. Peter, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Cindy, thanks for having me.
Well, no problem. Hearing aids. Now, we always think hearing aids are something that are real obvious, or you know how years ago they used to be very obvious. People knew right away.
Yep.
So I'm presuming that we've made advancements in that. But let's back up a little bit. Tell us about you, how you got involved in this, the need, that type of thing.
Yeah, so again, my name's Peter McMahon. I work at Hearing Aid Consultants. In 1997, our company was founded by Judy McMahon, who is my mother. After I was out of school, she asked if I would like to fill in for her billing specialist. I said, sure, I'll give it a try. And then here I am 13 years later. I'm now the owner of the company. I love what I do. So, we've been in business for 25 years now. So it's still family owned and operated, which is super important.
Yes, and it's a local business. I like that. I like that a lot. What are the most important qualities of your business?
Yeah, so again, I think being family owned and operated is really important. Also, the training that we give to our staff so that they're able to communicate with our patients is very important, because everybody has to know what's being said, and the information that's given is correct.
Now, as far as training, you talk about training. Is that something you do in-house, or is there like a state, federal type training thing that you have to do?
There's actually both. So we do a lot of in-house training. We actually just came from one last Wednesday. But we also do state training for the providers in the office. And it's mandated by the state. So we have to have so many credited hours every 2 years to keep our license.
Okay. Now, like I said in the beginning, I was talking about the size, the bulk, whatever, of the hearing aids, and they were really obvious. What advancements have been made as far as the size, the quality? I remember my dad had one, and it would ring. We could hear it. We could hear it ringing all over the house.
Yeah.
So he stopped using it.
Yep.
Because it was very distracting to all of us. All of a sudden, you'd be sitting there, and this huge ring, zing noise would come around.
Yep.
Oh, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So have you made a lot of advancements on this, or?
Yeah, so I actually brought some demos here with me today. And, again, I've been in the industry for 13 years. So when I first started, they were just starting to transition to more of like a receiver in the canal. So this part would go in your ear. This part sits behind your ear. So what they used to be, you'd have the big thing behind your ear, and then there'd be an ear mold attached to this.
Right.
So, they've come a long way just comparing the two next to each other. It makes a pretty big difference, not only for the look, but also comfort.
Now, what about the sound? Do they still have the issues with sometimes the squealing and the screaming or whatever?
The feedback is what you're referring to.
Thank you.
Every advancement in technology, they're always improving on that feedback, which is great. So you don't get that a lot.
What causes that?
Sometimes it could just simply be, so this is a custom hearing aid. So it goes completely in the ear, like so. And sometimes just the age of the device, and your ear is always growing. So it could be, the patient lost weight. So now the ear is a different size than what this was custom to be. So now there's a little gap between this and the patient's ear, so that will allow sound to escape, causing some feedback.
Okay.
Another cause could be wax in somebody's ear. So there are a number of reasons that squealing could take place.
So these are all custom made to fit the person?
Some of them, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Anything that's just in the ear is custom.
Okay. Now, what's the difference is it just a personal preference to have the one inside the ear as opposed to the one on the back here, or?
Yeah, it's personal preference. It can be, that's all they've worn their whole life, so that's what they're used to. So they prefer that one. We can actually fit now the majority of our patients with the receiver in the canal, because a lot of these come with different size of domes, You could also still attach a custom ear mold to the end of this to make it a tighter fit. That will create less feedback as well.
Now, they have to be made as far as to satisfy the need of a hearing loss. That has to be custom.
Yes, so that's
Okay.
based on a hearing test that's done by our professionals. And then we put that hearing test into a program and then program the hearing aid. And then there's a lot of adjustments that we can make on top of that too, based on patient feedback and what their experience is in their own listening environment.
Now, do you do that right here, or is that something that has to be outsourced?
Nope, that's done right in our office.
You make them,
We don't make them. They come like this from the factory.
and then you adjust them how they need to
Exactly.
be adjusted.
And a lot of
Okay.
them now are digital, so they can be programmed right at the office.
It's amazing.
It is.
Amazing.
It's awesome.
Wow. Now, I've seen hearing aids in the stores, like over the counter.
Yep.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in 2017 they introduced a bill to allow hearing aids to be more affordable to people. So that introduced the over-the-counter hearing aids. A lot of other private practices are a little bit nervous about that and that it's going to take away from their business. Our practice, on the other hand, it looks at it as a benefit because right now there's only 18% of the population with hearing loss that are actually doing something about it. So that leaves like 82% of people that have hearing loss that aren't doing anything.
Wow.
So the way I look at it is if this OTC brings in another 18% of that population, not to us, but just to get them introduced to hearing devices, eventually they will transition to a professional because, again, it's not easy to program your own hearing aid.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't. Do they have is the possibility there to do that, or is it just one size fits all?
That's what they're aiming for, is you can make adjustments via your cell phone. Again, if you don't have a cell phone, it won't be of use to you. So that's where we would come into play and adjust those devices at the office.
Okay. Okay.
So.
Now, are any of these covered the hearing aids? Because I hear people talking about their insurance doesn't cover a
Yep.
lot of this stuff. So is that covered with insurance or Medicare or Medicaid or whatever?
Yeah, so Medicaid, they do have a benefit, but you have to meet certain criteria. A lot of the other insurances, some of them might have a benefit. It's really tough because there's hundreds of thousands of different types of insurance. Medicare does not cover hearing aids, but there are some supplemental Medicare plans that will cover. And what they do is, it's tricky because insurances can be very confusing.
No.
Yeah, they can be. But they actually contract with a third party to provide those benefits. So when the insurance is saying, you have a hearing aid benefit, what's your first thought? Oh, my insurance has a hearing aid benefit. Well, technically, they're contracting with a third party to provide that benefit. It's great, again, because people are getting help, but at the same time, you're limited on that benefit because they control it.
Oh, okay.
There are some other insurances within New York State, as far as Empire. They have a very nice hearing aid benefit. Some of your local Blue Cross Blue Shield plans have a very nice benefit. So there's a lot that, would need to be looked into as far as what type of benefit you may or may not have.
Oh, okay. Now, when one thinks about hearing aids, they think about senior citizens, and I would imagine that's your typical customer, but not exclusive.
Yeah, no, I think we're seeing a lot of people coming in sooner now because they're still working. I think the working age has been pushed out. Not everybody's retiring at 65 anymore. They're working until they're 70, 75. So I think we're getting a lot more people that are in their 50s coming in and doing something about their hearing sooner, which is good because you don't want to let untreated hearing loss go because it's only going to get worse, as far as being able to understand, communicate with people.
Now, what do you think, based on your experience, is the primary cause of hearing loss?
There are a number of different things. It could be job related. It could be age. It could be genetics. It could be certain medications that you may be taking. So, I mean, you name it.
It can affect your hearing.
There are quite a few.
Oh, I never realized with the medications.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, I never realized that. Um, how now? Do you also get involved? Like I've seen different segments or little films with a child that never could hear.
Yeah.
And now what is that called?
They're very emotional.
Oh,
Those
it was
films.
well. They are. I cried. I did cry.
Oh
I
yeah,
did cry.
they're great though, because it's like, us in the office get to see that every day, even just with normal aged adults, or middle, like people my age, and it's just, that's one of the greatest benefits of my job, is to get those success stories when people come back, and it's just like those videos with those children.
Now, is
So-
there a name for that particular type of hearing aid, or it's just a regular hearing aid? I thought there
Yeah.
was some type of a name for it.
Nope.
Okay.
There are 5 to 6 main manufacturers within the hearing industry. So, and if your hearing is severe enough, Cochlear Implant.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the word I was trying to think of.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what is that?
So that's, I'm not a complete expert on the situation. That's more of a medical issue. But basically, it's a magnet that they have on your skull, and they attach it to your auditory nerve. And then they place a amplifier on the outside, and then it allows that person to hear certain sounds.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
you really have to be completely, hard of hearing. It's not something that's right for everybody.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I hear about tinnitus.
Yep.
All right. Tell us about tinnitus.
So tinnitus is, a sound that somebody might hear. It could be ringing, buzzing. A lot of the time patients will describe it as like cicadas. They'll constantly hear, or crickets.
Right.
It's just a sound that's an internal sound. Nobody really knows the cause of it. Nobody really knows. There's really no cure for it. One thing hearing aids will do is they'll actually mask that noise out, so you don't hear that as much. It'll never totally eliminate it, but with today's technology, they've come a long way. So you can really play around with it and make yourself more comfortable, and so you're not hearing that sound all day.
Okay.
When you take it out, the hearing aid out, you'll still hear it, but throughout the day, you're going to be relieved somewhat.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, is a hearing aid something you wear 24/7? Do you take it out at night, or is it personal preference, or?
So for the most part, it's something that you wear when you wake up to when you go to bed. A lot of the new technology is rechargeable, so you'd put them in the recharger at night. We do have a very few people that will wear it at night, because they might be very, very hard of hearing. So they want to make sure they can hear if somebody's breaking into their house.
Right, or smoke alarm or something like that goes off. Yeah.
It's not a lot, because, again, you have to recharge them, and sometimes they could be uncomfortable if you're sleeping on them, but for the most part, yeah, people will take them off at night.
Oh, okay. I see you brought an ear, with a big ear.
Yeah.
Now, where there's certain parts of it. Can you tell us where the effect of the hearing aid would be? Like it would go in a certain area, and just to kind of give us a bigger view for those that are sight challenged here a little bit.
So really, the receiver in the canal, which is this hearing aid here, would go into your ear canal.
Okay.
And then that wire actually comes out here and goes behind your ear.
Okay.
So there's not a lot that you will see when you're wearing a device.
Okay. And how does that work? I mean, does it send sound waves, or, actually, how does it help you hear?
So there are microphones in the back of the device, right? So that will pick up the sound, and it will process the sound within the
Okay.
device.
Okay.
And then it will send down the wire here and out through the speaker.
Okay.
So this speaker is pretty close to your eardrum. So that allows you to hear.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to believe something that little can help
I know.
you so much.
I know.
I mean, it really does. You know, I was looking at some of your information, and it says ears are self-cleaning. Mm-hmm. Is it? I mean, I never knew that.
That's what earwax is.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
So that's how
something different.
it's
Okay.
it's protecting your ears basically.
Because I know I remember years ago, my mother would say, "Nothing bigger goes into your ear, nothing smaller than in your elbow."
Yep.
And
Yeah.
not to mess around with anything inside your ear because the potential for damage is so great.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend for cleaning your own ears?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the way that you clean your own ears. You know, I think if you use a circular motion, not an in and out motion, because you don't want to compact anything deeper into your ear. But yeah, just maintain it. Make sure, have your doctor look at it. Make sure everything's okay. A little bit of earwax is okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a special, if somebody comes in with a serious problem, do
Yeah.
you have ways to assist them to get it out?
So we don't, but we send them to their primary care physician because a lot of the time they're capable of removing something like that, wax.
Okay.
Or if their primary care doesn't, ear, nose, and throat doctor will be able to remove that
Okay.
safely.
Okay. Now, just on average, in the industry, what are the costs? The average costs of your typical basic hearing
Yeah.
aid?
Yeah. So cost is a tricky topic because everybody's hearing's different. There are a lot of factors that go into determining the cost. You know, whether it's the type of hearing loss, what your lifestyle is like, the percentage of word discrimination. So that's the understanding of words. Typically, when that's at a lower percentage, you want something that's going to help you more. So cost, you can't just really throw out a number
out a
because
figure,
there's
yeah.
so many. I mean, again, there are so many different types of hearing devices. So it's really, when at our office, we really personalize it to get what you need and not what we're trying to sell you.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. Is there anything else that you want to let everybody know here? I mean, I've learned a lot about hearing aids that
Yeah.
I never knew.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, just at our office, you know, our mission is really to help our customers be able to communicate with friends, family, and really any other living thing. And people kind of look at me like, what do you mean any other living thing? Well, I mean, you have a lot of bird watchers, nature. A lot of people like to go on hikes. So any other living thing, it could be anything,
Right.
you know?
Well, I like that attitude. I like that.
Yeah.
Any other living thing, that's good.
Yeah.
Because I think we take it for granted. You
Yeah.
know, if you've got hearing, and then all of a sudden if you didn't, think about the ramifications, the consequences of all of that. Like you say, hearing loved ones,
Yeah.
friends, a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
You know, we just take everything for granted.
Exactly.
But anyways, I want to thank you very much for coming here because I've
Yeah.
certainly been educated, and I'm sure the audience has been educated on hearing
Absolutely.
aids. This is great. And if anybody has any questions, they can write to us at www.pac-b.org, and we can forward them on to Peter. And thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Cindy.
Because I've learned so much about hearing aids, and I'm sure it'll be very beneficial to everybody in the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you.